News First at 9. Headlines.
Bringing you the news from here at home and across the world, live from the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. A very good evening. This is Primetime News. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shine Jerome Party. 3 major rallies were organised by 3 organisations at separate locations in Colombo today. The rally is spearheaded by the chairman of the National Council for a Clean Tomorrow. Venerable Athurali Ratanathero took place today at the Muttaya grounds located in close proximity to the Gangarama temple in Colombo. Now, leaders of opposition political parties and civil activists were present for this rally.
Another meeting took place at Hyde Park today. Initially, permission was granted for the meeting of the National Council for a Clean Tomorrow to be held at Hyde Park. However, permission was later withdrawn. The rally at Hyde Park was organised by the Protect Sri Lanka concept.
Meanwhile, the Federation of National Organisations held a rally at the Sugadadasa Stadium today with the participation of ruling party politicians as well as villagers and civil activists. Although it was publicised that Minister Partli Champika Ranawaka, who is also the General Secretary of the Jatika Hela Urumia, would attend the rally, he did not.
We'll bring you more details on these rallies that were held in Colombo today, but first a look at your headlines.
Common candidate is not the issue. We need to unite to steer the nation in the correct direction. Venerable Athurali Ratanathero reiterates along with the opposition parties. If the 19th Amendment is presented, support will be extended. A statement by the opposition leader. A possible date for the presidential poll. Deputy Secretary to the Treasury say that plans are afoot to increase the country's revenue by 2% of the GDP over a period of 2 years.
Taking a comprehensive look at the local stories from here at home. Speaking at a rally organised in Colombo today by the National Council for a Clean Tomorrow, opposition parties reiterated that there is no question about who will be the common opposition candidate. The rally was spearheaded by Venerable Athurali Ratanathero. The public rally commenced at 3 p.m. today at the Muttaya grounds close to the Hunupitiya Gangarama Viharaya in Colombo. The public rally was initially to be held at the Hyde Park in Colombo. However, after the rally was met with certain disruptions, it was moved to the Muttaya grounds. A group including leader of the Jatika Hela Urumia, Venerable Omalpe Sobithathero, Venerable Athurali Ratanathero, and convener of the National Movement for Social Justice, Venerable Madulwave Sobithathero, were present for this public rally. Senior members of the United National Party as well as party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe were also in attendance. JVP Politburo member K.D. Lalkantha attended the rally on behalf of his party. However, leader of the Democratic Party Sarath Fonseca and General Secretary of the JHU, Minister Partli Champika Ranawaka, did not attend the rally.
I am pleased that the United National Party has come together and given priority to the people in this battle and rescued them from this menace. There are enough of candidates here to be fielded for the election. However, what we need are not candidates. What we need is to make the people aware. My friends, under our constitution, the judicial powers lie in the hands of the people. I request your fullest support for the candidate who will be fielded by us for the presidential election. How many days were given for this? The 5th was Wednesday, Thursday was Poya Day, Friday was the only day that was left. He says to notify him by Monday if there is a barrier or not. So the Supreme Court has only one session to make their opinion on this. That is what the Supreme Court did. At 2 in the afternoon on Wednesday, a letter was addressed to Puljaya Surya. It said that if anyone wishes to make their opinion, they can do so before 3 in the afternoon on Friday in writing. Minister Nimal Siripala says that everyone was given ample time to do so. How was ample time given? Thursday was Poya. This is how justice is respected. It was for the first time that Minister Nimal Siripala announced it yesterday in Parliament. According to accepted norms, a court decision is always announced in an open court.
ලෝකේ සම්ප්‍රදාය අනුව පිළිගත් සම්ප්‍රදාය අනුව නඩු තීන්දුවක් ප්‍රකාශන පත් කරන්නේ විවෘත අධිකරණය. අද කාලයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා මේ සියල්ලම පැත්තකට තියලා.
Today our objective should be to forget everything, put everything behind us and get onto one platform and work towards a mandate to abolish the executive presidency and bring back democracy to this country. The biggest question that is being asked now is who will be the common candidate? It doesn't matter who we put forward as a candidate because it is with great responsibility that I state that whoever we field as the common candidate, it will be for the sake and the betterment of the country.
Venerable Ratna Thero took the initiative and so has the JHU. Currently they remain undecided with one foot on this side and the other foot on the other side. However, very soon both feet will be on the same side and they, a powerful constituent party of the government, will move out.
You cannot run away from this problem. Mr. President, you have 2 more years. During the coming 2 years, take steps to abolish the executive presidency which is enshrined in the country's constitution. This is what you promised. We request you to stick to your promise and abolish the executive presidency.
මැතිතුමනි අපේ පක්ෂයේ නියෝජනායක සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමනි නායක රවි කරුණානායක මැතිතුමනි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය කියනවනම්
If the 19th Amendment to the Constitution is brought forth, we will undoubtedly support it. I am confident that other opposition parties will also support the 19th Amendment. Those sitting on the government benches inform me that this would be a good move. We don't need an election to do this. This can be abolished even tomorrow night. This is what we were told and we would support any such move. In order to safeguard democracy in the country, all parties here would unite for a common cause. This is not a meeting to select a common candidate. This is a meeting to create the social force to unearth a common candidate. This government has gone against the mandate of the people by introducing this amendment. This government has gone against the mandate of the people by introducing this amendment. We urge all leaders on this stage today not to tarnish the trust that we have placed on you all. I thought several ministers attached to the government would have crossed over by now. Those who are willing to cross over told me in secret that they would cross over on the day the presidential election date is announced. It is not we who would emerge victorious. Independence would reign supreme.
Now, during the rally that was organized by the National Council for a Clean Tomorrow, cameras captured these moments of the chairman of the UNP Leadership Council, Karu Jayasuriya, and parliamentarian Mangala Samaravira.
දීර්ඝකාලයක් කතා කළා අපි සංවිධාන ගණනාවක් දැන් මම මීට වඩා දීර්ඝ වශයෙන් කතා කරන්න යන්නේ මම හැමදාම මේ පැතිවල කතා කරන නිසා අනික ආණ්ඩුවේ අඩුපාඩුකම් ගණනාවක් තියෙනවා මම ඒව ගැන කතා කරන්නේ මම කතා කරන්නේ මේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධන ගැන පමණයි මොකද මම මේ ගැන ගිහි කතා කරත් අනික් අය වාගේ නෙමෙයි ආණ්ඩුවේ එකක් දීර්ඝකාලයක් කතා කළා අපි සංවිධාන ගණනාවක් දැන් මම මීට වඩා දීර්ඝ වශයෙන් කතා කරන්න යන්නේ මම හැමදාම මේ පැතිවල කතා කරන නිසා අනික ආණ්ඩුවේ අඩුපාඩුකම් ගණනාවක් තියෙනවා මම ඒව ගැන කතා කරන්නේ මම කතා කරන්නේ මේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධන ගැන පමණයි මොකද මම මේ ගැන ගිහි කතා කරත් අනික් අය වාගේ නෙමෙයි ආණ්ඩුවේ එකක්
The opposition's debate over abolishing the executive presidency and fielding a common candidate for the presidential election came under much criticism by representatives of the United People's Freedom Alliance today.
The opposition is still in the process of selecting a common candidate. Today, the main slogan of the opposition is putting forward a common candidate and abolishing the executive presidency. Incidentally, it was the UNP itself that created the position of executive president. It is nothing new for President Mahinda Rajapaksa to be criticized by those who previously held office as president and have now pledged support to the common alliance of the opposition. He was criticized when he took office for the first time in 2005 as well. An executive president cannot abolish an executive presidency. It is only the legislature that has the power to abolish the executive presidency and change the constitution. The legislative powers are vested in parliament. If there is to be a procedural change, then it should be done through a referendum in addition to a two-thirds majority in parliament.
Selecting a common opposition candidate is similar to collecting frogs. They keep jumping in and out. Kharu jumps in and out. Ranil jumps in and out. Fonseca jumps in and out, and so does Shirani. So they needed a solution and they brought in a boogeyman or a monster. That is the executive presidency. They brought in this monster in an attempt to create conflict and instability within the government. As of today, all political forces within the government have vowed to remain with this government. It is a fact mentioned in writing. Not a single tooth has been removed, but all 32 teeth of the opposition will be soon removed and will stand with the government.
Now, just as we mentioned earlier, the National Council for a Clean Tomorrow was initially to conduct its rally at Hyde Park in Colombo, but permission for the venue was withdrawn. Instead, another meeting was held at Hyde Park today.
An organization named the Protect Sri Lanka Concept held a meeting at the Hyde Park today where the activities of the opposition came under heavy criticism.
මේ කට්ටිය කැලේ මාරු කරන්න පුළුවන් හැබැයි කොටියගේ කොල්ලි මාරු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේක සරල කාරණයක්. කවුද විශ්වාස කරන්නේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ
This is a simple matter. Who would believe that any force that makes an alliance with the UNP will remain pure without being corrupted? The way I see it, these forces for one are not forces. Their attempts are not initiatives that would do any good to the society. A group has integrated to work towards their own betterment irrespective of what happens to the country.
Meanwhile, the Federation of National Organizations held a rally at the Sugadadas Stadium in Colombo to present alternative recommendations to the government.
The rally of the Federation of National Organization was held under the theme Defeat Initiatives to Push Back the Country. The organization announced at the rally that its aim was to steer the government onto the correct path by retaining the current presidency. Although it was made public that Ministers Dinesh Gunawardena and Partly Champik Ranawaka were to attend the rally, both ministers were notable absentees at today's event.
The final outcome of this constitution should be one that would ensure a ruling system which protects the purity of the Sinhala Buddhist culture in this country is created in the future.
At a media briefing held today, General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Minister Susil Premajanta, announced that preparations are underway for a presidential election. However, the minister did not reveal an exact date for the election. As the UPFA, we are preparing for an upcoming presidential election, but we cannot mention an exact date. However, a time period could be mentioned. Once the President announces a date, the nominations list and the locations to submit the list must be finalized within a time period of no less than 16 days and no more than a month. The elections date will be announced within a time period no less than a month and no more than 2 months or 60 days from the day nominations are called. Let's see what happens on the 20th. If it has been issued on the night of the 19th, we will do the calculations on the 20th. Yes, that date is confirmed. That is why I said these dates would not clash. Meanwhile, speaking at a media briefing today, Senior Minister of Rural Affairs, Atawudu Seneviratne, explained the objective of a snap election.
මේ රටේ ස්වෛර භාවයට හානි කරලා මේ රටේ හමුදා බටයන් සහ
As far as I know, this snap election is being called to give the impression that the people of this country rejects the attempts made by certain forces to destroy the integrity of this country by taking the soldiers, the relevant officials and politicians of the country who issued certain orders to the EU court to be punished. There isn't any other reason for an election to be called. It is mainly to defeat foreign conspiracies. We are going into a snap election to showcase the people's opinion of the country.
මතය ප්‍රකාශ වෙන්න තමයි මේ අදිසි මැතිවරණය.
In your developing story tonight, General Secretary of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, Tilvin Silva, expressed the following views at a media briefing held this evening.
මතය ජනතා විමුක්තිවරුන් අපි පිළිගන්නේ. ජනාධිපතිවරයාට තුන්වෙනි වතාවට තරඟව දෙන්න බෑ සහ වසර 4.
The JVP does not accept this opinion. The president cannot contest for a third term and a presidential election cannot be called in 4 years. We pointed this fact based on clear constitutional fact. Nobody has simply dismissed these facts. These facts were not revealed by us alone. These facts were revealed by many recognized experts in the country's legal profession. For instance, former Chief Justice Sarathen Silva clearly pointed out these facts. A substantial amount of time was not given to legal experts to discuss, confirm their opinions and present facts. Instead, a decision was taken in a hurry.
ප්‍රමාණවත් සාධාරණ කාලයක් ලබා දෙන්නේ නැතුව තමයි කඩිමුඩියේ කලබලේ ගේමක් ගහලා මේක ලබා දීම කරලා තියෙනවා.
The budget of the Ministry of Foreign Employment Promotion and Welfare was taken up for debate in Parliament today. Let's take a look at some of the excerpts from the debate.
These individuals sacrifice their children and go in search of employment opportunities overseas. If we take the behavior of 25% of the children whose mothers are overseas, their behavior is different from one another. Even though the economy is benefited, this will become a social issue in the long run. Therefore, assign a new division at your ministry to look after these children.
I propose that we bring a new bill. There are certain topics that need to be included in this bill. The current act does not include the protection of human rights, and the foreign exchange that is brought to the country by the expatriate workers are far greater than our imports. The people of this country survive through the financial contribution made by these expats.
There are around 1.7 million people overseas and 303 cases are natural deaths. This might happen even if they are living in Sri Lanka. Some women hide their medical issues when travelling overseas. Who should be held responsible for this? Is it the government? Regardless of the facilities provided in any country, there could be a certain degree of shortcomings that are reported. That is inevitable.
We are proudly making submissions after selling over 2 million mothers and sisters. Today, the minister is saying that there is a reduction of migrants, but there are many individuals who have obtained tourist visas for 2 or 3 months and have gone missing. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask how many calls do you receive per day of people saying that their wives are abandoned overseas or beaten there or have come back without salaries?
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි ඔබතුමාගේ දුරකථනයට දවසකට ඇමතුම් කීයක් එනවද මගේ බිරිඳ සෞදි වල අතරමං වෙලා මේක ගෙනත් දෙන්න මේ පඩි නැතුව ඇවිල්ලා ගුටි කාලා ඇවිල්ලා කියලා කීයක් ඔබතුමාට ඇවිල්ලා ඇද්ද මේ ජීවිත කාලෙට කියලා මම ඔබතුමාගෙන් අහන්න කැමතියි.
ඔබතුමාට නේව මට හරවන්න තොරම බලන්න.
එතුමාට ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. මම මෙච්චර කාල තිබු විශ්වාසයට අද පළුදුණා.
මට ඇවිල්ලා. දැන් මේ
අද තියෙන රාවය තමයි මේ ගැන ගරු කතානායකතුමනි
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතා කරනකොට ටිකක් විශ්ීමෙන් සහ
sorry
I agree that a problem persists. However, there is a reduction in the number of cases. We don't disregard your statement.
කතානායකතුමනි මේක බොරුවක් නම් රංජන රාමනායකට එහෙන ගහයි මේක ඇත්තක් නම් මේ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ඉන්න මේ නිලධාරි අලුගෝසු සියලු දෙනාට එහෙන ගහයි
කවුරු හරි කියනවා නම් තමන්ගේ සහෝදරිය වික්ක කියලා අර අන්තිමට කියපු හෙන ගහන්න ඕනේ.
We urge the people of this country not to resend such low-level parliamentarians to this house again.
මේ වගේ තුට්ටු දෙකේ മന്ത്രിවරුන්ග මේ සභාවලට නවතවන්න එපා කියලා.
NRFC ගිණුමේ පහුගිය කාලෙහි පොලි ප්‍රතිශතය
100%. In the NRFC account, the loan interest was over 7.5%, but now it has been reduced to 2.2%. People who are deemed as heroes are not encouraged to maintain accounts. What happens then? They are tempted to use illegal means to send money home. The money sent by migrant workers are hence not regulated.
අර තියෙන වෙන ක්‍රමවලින් ලංකාවට සල්ලි එවනවා නිත්‍යානුකූල නොවන ක්‍රමවලින් හැබැයි ඒවා එවන්නේ කොච්චරක්ද එවන ප්‍රමාණය කොහොමද ඒවන ආයතන ඒතකොට ගන්න කමිෂන් ඒවා අපිට රටට ආදායමක් විදියට එන්නේ නැහැ.
One might think that we are trying to sweep under the carpet certain issues in countries like Saudi Arabia. No, we don't do that. What we say is don't make 3% into 97%.
Well, if you're just tuned in, you're watching Primetime News live on Newsfirst. Up next is our special segment, Action TV. In the year 2006, the Auditor General ordered an investigation based on the public audit records issued by the National Water Supply and Drainage Board to be carried out to ascertain a financial fraud amounting to 245.7 million rupees reported between 1996 and 2006. The auditors who function within the National Water Supply and Drainage Board have played a part in the investigations. However, the officers in charge of public audit records have evaded such inquiries. According to a report submitted to the 38th Auditor General on the 23rd of December 2008 by a 3-member investigation committee, the 39th Auditor General and several others who succeeded him have absconded these investigations conducted. According to the report, senior auditors have failed to uncover details pertaining to a financial fraud valued at almost 245 million rupees due to the negligence of these officers who have failed to fulfill their jobs. If these senior auditors had carried out their duties righteously, a loss of at least 10 million rupees on the government's expense could have been prevented. The Sri Lankan audit standards have been incorporated through an act that has obtained cabinet approval and thereby providing powers to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka to carry out activities maintaining such standards. These standards have thus been applicable to all public auditors since the 1st of January 1995. The ICASL has thus maintained these standards and has also facilitated the granting of doctorates to deserving members of the Institute. Accordingly, the 39th Auditor General and the acting 40th Auditor General are both qualified chartered accountants. According to the oath taken during the passing out ceremony of certified chartered accountants, one cannot undertake an audit in an instance where his or her partner or spouse is employed at the institution which seeks the service of such auditors. However, in the year 1987, which is 9 years before the approval of such instructions, the then Auditor General issuing a circular stated that, quote-unquote, if any officer or a member of his family has any interest in any institution audited by him, he should declare immediately all details of such interests in writing. With these conditions still in existence as of today, the present Auditor General during the recent years under his capacity as the Deputy Auditor General had functioned in the overall supervising capacity of all public enterprises, including Ceylon Electricity Board, this too during the period where his wife was heading the internal audit of the Ceylon Electricity Board while functioning as a member of its staff. We will bring to you details pertaining to the professional conduct of his wife, who is also a certified chartered accountant, tomorrow.
A protest was staged opposite the Department of Wildlife Conservation today.
Members of the Voluntary Wildlife Tour Guides Collective, who have not been granted permanent status in over a period of 15 years, staged a protest. The demonstrators who began the protest march from the Ministry of Wildlife Resource Conservation reached the Battaramula Road before being redirected to the ministry after being informed that the Talangava Police OIC would arrive at the location and provide solutions. However, 4 protesters who made their way back to the ministry premises were denied a written agreement and continued to stage a strike action outside the ministry. Subject Minister Vijit Vijayamuni de Soisa arrived at the scene and invited the demonstrators back to the ministry. Following clarifications made by the minister, the protesters dispersed.
ඒ සාකච්ඡාවේදීත් අපිට නිසි පිළිතුරක් හම්බුනේ නැහැ. මේ පිළිතුර හම්බුනේ නැති නිසා අපි මේ අපේ උද්ඝෝෂණය ඉදිරියට පවත්වාගෙන යනවා. ඔබ සාකච්ඡා කරලා සාකච්ඡාවක් ලබා දුන්නා. නමුත් ඔබ මෙතන දාලා විතර්ක එතන කිසිම දෙයක් කතා කරේ නැහැ. අපි ඒක තමයි අමතුමා අපි කතා කරන්නේ මොකද්ද? අපි තනතුරට අදාළව අපි මේ වෙනකල් කරන රැකියාවේ ස්වභාවයත් එක්ක එතුමා අපි හිර කරනවා. නමුත් අපි මේ උද්‍යානය තුල අපි කරන රාජකාරිය දන්නේ අපි විතරයි.
Meanwhile, speaking in Parliament today, Minister of Wildlife Resources Conservation expressed views regarding the matter.
වගකීම් යුතු නිලධාරීන් විදේශගතව සිටින මෙම අවස්ථාවේදී මෙවැනි ഘോഷණයක් පැවැත්වීමට
At a time such as this, where the responsible officials are out of the country, I feel the voluntary guides who are under the caretakers of the gardens engaging in a protest is some sort of conspiracy. However, His Excellency the President Mahinda Rajapaksa in his 2015 budget speech stated that employees who have served for more than 180 days will be made permanent, and if a post does not exist, a post will be created and will be made permanent. Therefore, amendments are being made to change the positions of voluntary guides to field assistants and to make employees who have served for over 180 days permanent.
ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ සහකාර ලෙස සංශෝධනය කරමින් දින 180කට වඩා වැඩියෙන් සේවය කරන ලද අයගේ සේවය ස්ථිර කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සිදු කරමින් පවතී.
Moving on to business news now. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Dr. S. Batagoda, speaking at an event today in Colombo, said that plans are afoot to increase the country's revenue by 2% of the GDP over the next 2 years. The event was held at the Department of Inland Revenue as its new Commissioner General Vasanthi Manchanayaka formally assumed duties today at the IRD.
The national income of 14% is planned to be increased to 16, 17 or even 20%. This will be achieved by 2016. If we are to increase the national income to 16%, you have a great responsibility to ensure the efficiency of the Department of Inland Revenue and the Customs Department. If not, the aspirations of the government will not be met.
Today we have lost the trust of the taxpayer. Through the RAMIS project, we will be able to create a friendly environment for the taxpayer and win back the trust of the taxpayer. Let's make our department into one where individuals come in willingly to pay their taxes.
The 10 Outstanding Young Persons of Sri Lanka Award ceremony organised by Junior Chamber International was held in Colombo last evening. Incidentally, Director English News at Newsfirst, Shamir Russell-Din, was among the recipients of this award.
Junior Chamber International Sri Lanka was formed in 1954 and the 10 Outstanding Young Persons Awards was first introduced in Sri Lanka in 1980.
The young dynamic Shamir Russell-Din.
Director of English News at Newsfirst, Shamir Russell-Din, was adjudged the Outstanding Young Personality of the Year for his contribution to media.
Every time someone tells me, reach the stars, you can end up on a treetop, I tell them, if I can reach the stars, I will reach the stars. And I will do it. Do not tell me to lay on a treetop and look at the stars. It's you who defines success. It's you who defines success and defeat. Do not forget that. As a journalist, I don't want to change the world. I don't want to change 20 million people in Sri Lanka. I want to change one person. And that is all what I want to do. If I change one, I know I am changing the world. Every time I went to my management with a crazy idea, they said, yes, let's do it. I would like to thank Siobhan and the chairman of the Capital Maharaja organization, Mr. Raj Mahendran, and the entire team at Newsfirst. I wouldn't certainly be here today without them.
A number of personalities from the Capital Maharaja organization have received this prestigious award over the years, and among them are Shivan Daniel, Yasarat Kamansiri, Riyazdin Shah Jahan, also known as Shaq, as well as Kingsley Ratnayaka. International luminaries who have won this award in the past include former US Presidents John F. Kennedy and Bill Clinton, and former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
In more local news, a deputy leader of the United National Party, parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa, expressed his views on the Samurdhi program during a function held in Lunugambehera yesterday.
The Samurdhi program is a program initiated to eradicate poverty. A sum of 1.6 million rupees has been allocated from a sum of 5.1 million that amounts to more than 30%. But the President in the budget speech said that poverty has reduced to 6% and 8% and so on. How can he say this? This only means that the people who were eternal servants of the government have now been made hostages. This is what is happening through the so-called Samurdhi welfare program. MP Sajith Premadasa made this comment while addressing an event to distribute clean drinking water to the drought-affected people in the 18th mile post area in Agborpura of the Lunugambehera Divisional Secretariat.
The United Nations War Crimes Commission records was held at the United Nations headquarters in New York yesterday. Patrick J. Traynor, former member of the Office of Special Investigations at the United States Department of Justice, made these remarks while taking part in a top-level panel discussion.
The investigation and prosecution of what we now call modern war crimes, that is post-World War II war crimes, on the international level, that is in an international jurisdiction, the ICC and the other international tribunals that have been established in the last 20 years, focuses on the people that are most responsible for the commission of those crimes. That is the leaders involved, not the frontline executioners, quite frankly. One thing that could be done in connection with any country in which crimes have been committed of that nature is to develop information on the legal responsibilities of the top-ranking officials in the given country. What kind of authority do they have over the armed forces and other security forces? What was their responsibility for enforcing discipline, for making sure that the laws were obeyed? The official gazette of the given country would help with that, the local press, speeches that were given, that sort of thing. That's only one aspect of the case, but that's something that can be done outside the country. The crucial thing in these high-level investigations is, quite frankly, not to prove the crimes were committed. That's usually fairly easy. But to link those crimes to the people most responsible at the top of the given governing structure.
Well, the second phase of examining applications for the Sportsfest Mobitel Platinum Awards commenced at the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo.
The Sportsfest Mobitel Platinum Awards aims to recognize Sri Lankan sportsmen and sportswomen who have done their country proud in the national and international arena. Submitting applications for the awards ended on the 31st of October, and the examining of applications commenced on Thursday the 6th of November with the participation of members of the panel of judges. During the second phase, Damayanti Darsha, Dilroy Fernando and Hemaka Amarasuriya examined the applications.
දැනට ලංකාවේ ඉහළම තැන ඉන්න සියලු දෙනාම වගේ මේකට ආයුධම්පත් එවලා තියෙනවා. ඒත් ඇත්තටම සමහර තීරණවලදී අපිට ඉතාමත් අසීරුයි තෝරා ගැනීමටත්. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ මේක හොඳ ආරම්භයක්. ලංකාවේ
Over 5,000 applications have been received for the 21 award categories at the Sportsfest Mobitel Platinum Awards. The names of 3 athletes will be nominated for each award. The Sportsfest Mobitel Platinum Awards night will be held with much pomp and ceremony on November 30th at the Stein Studios in Guatemala.
Well, that's it from all of us here at the MTV Newsfirst desk for the moment. On behalf of the team, we'd like to congratulate Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldeen for winning the Young Outstanding Person of the Year award for this year. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shahin Drampati. Good night and take care.